Have you ever wondered what your website actually looks like to Google? I'm not talking about some third-party tool's best guess. I mean data straight from the source. Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain and demystifying Google's Search Console, your website's free, direct from Google health check.
So let me just ask you this. Is your website really doing as well as you hope it is? I mean, what if there are these hidden issues, right? Technical glitches or huge missed opportunities that are holding it back. Problems you can't even spot just by looking at your own homepage. This is exactly why Google gives us this incredible free tool.
Think of this whole thing as a full-on diagnostic checkup for your site. First, we're going to meet the doctor. You know, what Search Console actually is. Then, we'll check your website's vitals in the performance report. After that, we'll run a full X-ray to diagnose any of those sneaky technical errors. From there, we'll build an action plan to find some real growth opportunities. And finally, we'll talk about managing your site's reputation, which is kind of like getting a specialist referral.
All right, so first up, what exactly is this tool? Well, the doctor is in, and we're about to see why this is the single most important source of truth for your website's health. Period.
Okay, so here's the absolute crucial point. Google Search Console, or GSC for short, is a totally free service directly from Google. It's not an opinion, it's not some wild estimate, it is a direct line of communication that shows you exactly how the Google search engine is reading, crawling, and indexing your website. It's literally your window into their world. And this difference is so critical. Look, you probably use other SEO tools, and that's great for getting estimates. But their data? It comes from scraping the web and making really smart, educated guesses. GSC data is completely different. It comes directly from Google's own database. It's the ground truth. You know, a Reddit user named Rickety Bang put this perfectly. They said you don't get 100% of the data in GSC, right? Google samples it for things like privacy. But, and this is the key, the data you do see is accurate. If GSC says you got 100 clicks, you really got 100 clicks. It's reliable enough to base some major decisions on. Okay, let's dive into the first part of our checkup, checking the vitals. The performance report is where you get to see your website's pulse. How many people are actually seeing you in the search results? And more importantly, how many are clicking through? So you can think of this report as showing 4 vital signs. You've got clicks, that's simple enough. Then you have impressions, which is just how many times your site showed up. Then the really juicy one, click-through rate, or CTR, which tells you how effective those impressions were. And finally, average position, which tells you, on average, where you're ranking. And here's the really beautiful part. Search Console doesn't just give you a snapshot from today. It lets you track these vitals over time for up to 16 months. This is absolutely huge. You can spot seasonal trends, you can see the impact of a big Google update, or just figure out if that new content you published is actually working. It's like having your site's entire long-term health record right at your fingertips. Okay, so the vitals look stable. Now it's time to look a little deeper for any of those hidden fractures. The index coverage report is basically your website's X-ray. It shows you exactly which pages Google can't see, and more importantly, why it can't see them. When you first open up this report, you get this really simple high-level summary. It sorts all the URLs Google knows about into 4 buckets. Valid pages? They're healthy. They're on Google, good to go. Error means there's a problem stopping a page from being shown. Valid with warning means the page is indexed, but there's an issue you should probably check out. And excluded means pages you've told Google to ignore, either on purpose or by accident. We're most concerned with that big red error slice. Now, the error names can sound super technical and kind of scary, but they're usually pretty simple. If you see no index, it just means there's a little tag on that page telling Google to stay away. A 404 just means Google followed a link to a page that isn't there anymore. A server error, your website server just had a hiccup when Google dropped by. And a soft 404 means the page technically works, but to Google, it just looks like an error page. See? Not so intimidating when you translate it into plain English. And the treatment plan? Just as straightforward. Step 1, you identify the error in the report, which tells you exactly which pages are affected. Step 2, you go fix the problem on your actual website. Then, and this part is really important, you come back to Search Console and click that Validate Fix button. This is you telling Google, hey, I fixed it. Come check again, please. All right, we've diagnosed the problems. Now for the fun part, creating an action plan for actual growth. Search Console isn't just a defensive tool for finding errors. It's honestly one of the most powerful offensive tools you have for finding new traffic. So here's a pretty powerful pro tip for you. You can use something called a regular expression, or regex, which is basically a fancy search filter.
By just pasting this little bit of code into the performance reports filter, you can instantly see every single question your audience is typing into Google where your site appeared. This is an absolute goldmine for new content ideas.
Next up, we're going to hunt for what I call opportunity keywords. This is seriously the low-hanging fruit of SEO. These are keywords where you're already ranking, but you're kind of stuck on page 2 or page 3, somewhere around positions 8 through 20. Your site is getting a ton of impressions for these, but almost no clicks. With just a little push, these pages can jump to page 1 and bring in a huge wave of new traffic. So how do you give them that push? Well, there are 3 simple ways. First, improve the content. Go deeper, make it more helpful than the pages that are ranking above you. Second, add some internal links pointing to it from your stronger, more authoritative pages. And third, take a hard look at your page title and meta description and rewrite them to be more compelling. That'll improve that all-important click-through rate. Okay, let's head into our final section, which is kind of like getting that specialist referral. After the general checkup, sometimes you need to look at a very specific, very important system, like your site's reputation across the entire web, and that is mostly about links.
The links report is where you see your online reputation in action. It shows you exactly which external websites are linking to you. We call those backlinks. And you can think of every good backlink as a vote of confidence from another site. This report is fantastic for seeing which of your articles are getting the most attention, which can tell you exactly what kind of content you should be creating more of. But what if you see links that are actively hurting your reputation? You know, links from spammy or really low-quality sites. That's where the disavow tool comes in. And I have to give you a major warning here. This tool lets you tell Google, hey, please ignore these bad links. But listen carefully. This thing is a surgical instrument, not a hammer. If you use it wrong and disavow good links, you can do serious, lasting damage to your rankings. Honestly, for most people, you should never even have to touch this. So there you have it, the full health checkup. We've checked the vitals, we've run the x-rays, we've created a growth plan, and we even took a peek at the specialist reports. You now have the complete doctor's toolkit for understanding your website's health, straight from Google itself. So I guess the only question left is, what secrets is your website waiting to tell you?